Arthur is here.
Well, Arthur's not here. Wait a minute, no, he's not here. And we also have two others. We have one other person. So we're going to start without him because you guys are all sitting. You filled your tushes in the seats, so we're here. Wait a second, here comes.
I brought an Arthur.
Hey, this thing is. The brakes on that one. Up, Simba.
Come on, Arthur, these people. Come on, Arthur. Leave them alone.
That's it, over here. Just follow the light beam.
Okay. We're going to start. So let's have some questions. I'm sure that we have things we want to say and to help you get into the business or not. So if you have questions, come on up and stand up.
Mike will step up to Mike.
And there's Michael.
I'll wait for Mr. Burghardt to have a seat. Some more coming too, but thanks for coming, guys. And my question is, in the past sorts of discussions about how to get into voice acting, one thing that's always brought up is get an agent. But for people who are just getting started out, or people who don't really have much of a showbiz background, how do you know how to pick a good agent, and what's the difference between a good agent and a bad agent?
Well, if I may, gentlemen, you're starting from here. You need to start from here. The question you need to ask is...
No, I'm agreeing with you.
The question you need to ask is, to get into voiceovers, where do I start as an actor? And then the agent is the last thing you get. You start, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, you start, my suggestion is you get into an improv group and you start developing characters. You go to a good acting coach or a good acting school, actually, and start seeing what other people are doing and how people perform, etc. I train actors how to get into voiceover, and if that's hard, and it's hard for a lot of them, it's got to be hard for somebody who's just starting, unless you're a natural. Like Jim Cummings was a natural. I mean, Jim was just wonderful, he came out of nowhere. But if you start with an acting class or an improv class, you plagiarize, you don't shade your eyes. That's why God made your eyes. So what you do is, and as I explained to one gentleman, watch Jerry Springer. You got a lot of strange people up there. And what you do is you pick one and say, I'm going to become that character. And then vocally, physically become that character, and then now you've got a character, and you put that character in your bag. You find another character. Maybe it's grandma, maybe it's grandpa. Maybe it's just interesting characters that you will eventually become in your own way, that you create in your own way. It's about listening. You get into a room with a bunch of voiceover people, be prepared, because that's what we do. We're actors, but because you can't be seen, you're creating a picture vocally. And people have to see what you look like by listening to you. That's imperative. And as you work your way up, and eventually you got your stuff, you got about maybe 5, 6 characters. I don't think you need more than that, maybe you learn as you go along, but you got 5 or 6 solid characters, and then you get an agent. At least you try to get an agent. You put together a little bit, you got to spend money. You don't just walk into it. It costs money to create all this, to hire someone to write copy for you, unless you're brilliant, and then to go into a studio, that costs money. So it's a gamble. But if it's something you really want to do and nobody can talk you out of, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that it? Well, we're going on.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm slow.
You're forgiven.
It doesn't shock me.
So,
I'm a room full of people who know me and love me. That was very good.
Anybody else have questions?
Like
Why are you here? I know there's something burning in your head. Excellent. Yes, please. Come up. Come up. They will answer your question.
Well, you know what it is? People always, I've said a long time ago, people have always said to me, I have a great voice. So people say I should be in the business. Having a great voice is, we all have voices. There are some voices that are not great, but there are interesting voices that are in the business. To me, when somebody says, I have a great voice, but has no background in acting, and says, I want to get in the business, that's like having a 9-inch pecker, and it doesn't get hard.
I know the feeling. Absolutely right.
Hopefully it's yours.
As soon as I can find it.
Because what good is it? Okay?
Not exactly the question I was going to ask,
But okay.
but I understand where you're coming
Zip
from.
up the fly. Try it.
Well, you're going to show up the
Now zip up this one.
Shut the door.
You've got the job.
The question I was going to ask, though, is getting started to see if it is something you're interested in. I did put a room in my basement. I've started trying to soundproof it on the low budget to just get a feel for it and make a few recordings. I have my microphone, I have my pop-up filter and all that, just to experiment and develop.
Yeah.
To get where I would say, would I be comfortable doing this? Do you have any tips or tricks that you might recommend towards soundproofing, or if I should be considering making like a demo tape to see what other people think?
Guys?
I'll throw in a little weirdness on this regarding my own studio at home. Because I was going to build full-on, Constructicon studio. A buddy of mine who is, Bob Smart, who is a musical genius and a genius amongst many other things, and an engineer. He came over, he's like, he walked into my office, which is so unbelievably messy. There's so much clutter and junk and crap in my room. He went, this is one of the best acoustic rooms I've ever heard in my life. Never clean, never tidy. Put your mic right there. So I sit at my computer and it's... So, cleanliness, not necessarily your best friend in the voiceover world. That's the budget way.
Well, you think you break up
It's like,
sound,
that
I
was
was
just
saying.
the weirdest answer.
So you're talking from I have a whisper booth, which
Yeah.
I put in.
Okay.
And it's really great. What I didn't do was I didn't make sure that the whisper booth doors were closed, and I left one open, so my cat went in there and peed. So that took me at least 6 months to get that smell out of my whisper booth. And I insulated everything. Everything was insulated except the doors. They're glass because I wanted to be able to see out. In case the bomb dropped, I wanted to be able to get that. And it doesn't help. So now I have to record with the doors open until I decide to cover the glass.
Just get rid of the cat.
Get rid of the cat. Poor cats. I get rid of my horse first. Yes, the cats have a house. So now everything's corded off and everything's closed, etc. But you can go to great lengths, and it's not really necessary to go to great lengths. You obviously built something that's
A starter.
It's a starter. It's not a torture chamber, is it?
No.
Okay.
So it's the Whisper Room 2.0.
Yeah, I was about to say it's going to be.
It's a nice upgrade. It's worth it, trust me.
Chains hanging from the ceiling. Yeah, make demos. Do that. Mine is just simple. I just record it. It goes to my computer, and I edit it and send the auditions into my agent because I don't feel like traveling. And it's quite a simple little book. It doesn't have to be anything extensive. And yeah, continue. If you believe it after you play it back, if you believe what you did was good, then it's probably good. If there's anything about it that you say, well, forget it. It really has to resonate with you. And do 2 or 3 takes if you're doing something. What are you doing for your format? In other words, when you record something, what is it you're recording?
I'm still setting up. I have not started doing it yet.
Okay,
I
when
talked
are
to
you
you the other day,
recording?
my sister has the books on tape.
Okay.
That seems a little dry, but a little bit more
That's very
characters,
dry.
and it would be something to start with to see if it could progress.
Get a comic book
Okay.
and record the characters in a comic book. Do at least 2 or 3 in a comic book. That's what
Sounds
I would
like one.
suggest to you. Yeah, that's a great way to begin, and then you can. That'll give you an idea of your range. But above all, listen to other characters. I'm not telling you to even if you imitate an actor, that's perfectly fine. It'll sound different coming from you. But behind that imitation is the core, is the acting. Because Rich Little was a marvelous impressionist, and he couldn't act. You had several impressionists that could not act. There are one or two that really brought it to the mic. I mean, they were really wonderful. You know, Gorshin was sensational.
Yeah.
Fred Travelina, rest his soul, was sensational. I worked with Fred, but they're rare. So yeah, you want to do that, but what you want to do is invest. When we do this up here, and you watched this yesterday, you guys down here were really, really good. I was very surprised and angry. But what you need to do is invest the acting in it, because something happens to you when you do it. You don't just do it. You really become it to some degree. Not 100%, but enough so that it becomes, so it's honest. So the next line coming up is as honest as the line preceding it.
Then it becomes a situation of trying to control.
Yes.
I've had fully fledged just like will suddenly appear. You're like, who the hell is she? Oh.
Well, no one broke into a wrong voice yesterday at all. So.
No, but what Michael's saying is absolutely right. But you also have to, because he said, well, make sure you don't fool yourself.
True.
It's very easy to go, yeah, I sound exactly like so-and-so, and you don't. You may have semblances of what that quality is, but the point is you've got to be really tough on yourself.
That's also a great tool, though, for if you do the most perfect impression of somebody well-known,
yeah,
you're going to get sued. But, you know, if your spot on Marilyn Monroe, which is the greatest Marilyn Monroe that you've ever done in your life, happens to sound nothing like her and probably doesn't, but it may be the basis for a really cool character.
It may be more true.
Yeah, or that's just something you throw into the mix to add another layer of interesting to characters. I 100%, I love what you were saying. It's like, when as I go like, you know, always, it's like that, well, you know, I want to be a voice actor. It's like, okay, there's two words here. Voice and actor, by far.
Actor.
Actor first. The greatest voice actor, in my opinion, of all time, Mel Blanc. Not really the man of 1,000 voices. They're similar stuff, but what he always did, always, he never, ever, ever, ever created a voice. He always created a character. Character first. And, you know, this is the reason that in spite of years of therapy, I still know that rabbits and ducks can talk. And it's the soul that's imbued, you know, and doing a person, you know, I've had, I got to do, I was baby foghorn, leghorn, and baby. But, you know what, it doesn't matter. The soul is missing. The soul is the truth that he put into stuff. You know, with all due respect, whoever's doing it now, the new Kermit sounds a lot like Kermit. It ain't Kermit. It's a great impression, a really great impression, with the possible exception of, who's it that's doing Winnie the Pooh now? Jim, which is eerie. You go like, okay, because that's a consummate, brilliant, intuitive actor that actually occupied the character, allowed the character to occupy him, and it's, to me, it's genius because it's indistinguishable from Sterling Harlow.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's like you hear Arthur and those tones and that's it's not just the tones. It is the character behind. It's the quality of the character behind those tones. Anybody go, here, do that thing over here and do this, and they think if I do this sound, etc. That's not it. There's something that comes. There's something much more ephemeral. That's where the acting comes in. Even listening to these guys yesterday, you know, I don't, because I'm not Canadian and I never saw Beast War, I don't even watch my own stuff, for God's sakes, watch anybody else's. In terms of animation, you know, it's something I do. But I've listened to these guys yesterday, I listened to these characters, and I'm listening, and I can see them. I didn't watch them, I can see those characters they were playing. I saw what they were wearing, I saw their hats, I saw their clothes, I saw their look, etc. For me, physically, they created that character because they got in it. They got into the character. It wasn't just a voice over here. It was something that went beyond. So it's rounded. Even you're behind the mic. You're painting the picture. They painted the picture. They didn't give me the etching. They gave me a full character. And that's what you have to do if you want to get into voiceover.
So I mean, like, just to demystify the whole thing, I mean, it's the difference between working from the outside in as opposed to working from the inside out. In other words, when you think you've achieved the voice, that's only a very, very, very small part of how the characters express. Like if you ever see Scotty in the studio, it's a full-fledged performance. I mean, you have to get out of the way. He's jumping and leaping.
Yeah, I was going to say, people are often surprised when they come in, with the exception of Corlett, who can stand there with his hands in his pockets. It's incredibly physical.
He's a Christian Scientist.
Because, I mean, you are doing weirdness. You know, people said to me, it's like, your whole face just morphed. It's like, I did.
That's what happens.
And, yeah, so you have the one channel. Sorry, I'm on a tear. But everything that you do, it has to go through this one magic thing, and it goes through the string, and then it goes into a box, and things happen. But your performance has to be more so than it would be for any other medium. Like, it has to be so specific, and it has to be so real and so complete, physically, mentally. And then something cool happens and other people make it move. But people are shocked when they come in, they go like, really? You guys are not well. You're really not well. You should be in a small padded room.
You do get physical. If you're straining, you do a strain. If you're climbing, you do the climb. If you're playing a hero, I got to tell you, when I play a hero, both feet are on the ground.
The balls get big.
Tall, and I get only, I'm not, and I have a huge puffy place. And I am ready to fight. I mean, I get the attitude. If I'm playing a character that's a little squidgy, and you make one of those guys and over here, one of those evil guys, I do all this, and everybody watching from the booth goes, what the hell is he doing? As long as you don't hear it here, as long as I don't go, okay, sorry. I don't do any suggestion. I know this is here. But this, you get physical. And I don't see anybody, when I don't see somebody do that, I see somebody stand, because I teach, I see somebody stand on one foot, and I say, both feet on the ground. Because the energy goes out of that other foot. You have, and physically, you can't put your hand in your pockets. You know, for me, I just feel that most people, and I think you should stand. Quite frankly, I stand. I do not sit when I perform. It's got to come out of here. Whatever the character is, I'm doing a couple of shows now, and I'm playing different characters. If this guy's got a hump in his back, I hump. I get over here, and I do that. It helps me, and I think it helps anyone who's an actor. That's a personal feeling that I have. Otherwise, it's just. You know, it's just a voice.
Yeah, no, you're right, because what you were saying is if you physicalize behavior, then it actually comes out through the voice without you having to construct that.
I think I picked up on a little bit of that from time to time, but again, to hear it again, develop
I mean, it's not magical.
It's nice to have direction. Yeah. So, anyway, I know about the people here. One thing I will say, thank you all for the life you breathed to various characters. We've all enjoyed them. Thank you very much.
So my question is, you know, much like athletes will go to the gym and watch what they eat, is there something on the day-to-day that you guys do to sort of take care of your voice?
I drink a lot of gasoline. And I smoke whatever I can find, be it wood, plastic.
I've done sessions in the past where, well, raspy voices used to be more involved than they are now, but I'd go in and do a take, and the engineer would go, why don't you just go out for about 5 minutes and drink a couple cups of coffee and maybe 4 or 5 cigarettes now? Because you're just sounding too clear. Well,
what you don't do is drink milk and eat a soft-boiled egg.
That's true.
That would, because otherwise it would be like that.
Yeah.
So just keep it clear. Some people drink room temperature water or hot tea or something, whatever it is. But for me, I have a light voice. And when they tell me to go deep, I know I'm in real trouble. Because it's just not there. So, and I've got the job. That's what kills me. So I always tell people, don't do an audition where you're doing this because you may get the job. Then you may get a show that has place.
I mean, look what happened to me in Beast Wars. Like, Tarantulas has a completely undoable voice. But, you know, when you go into an audition, they go, can you just go a little higher?
Oh.
And then you get right up here, and then they go, oh, do that every session for the next 3 years. You got the job. It's like, yeah, but how am I going to do that? So that's when I had to kind of deconstruct and reconstruct. But it was still all about behavior. Really, that was all rooted in behavior. Even though, I mean, I guess spiders have feelings, I don't know.
Now they're squished.
Well, when you...
So, I mean, I'm just talking, you know, day-to-day maintenance so that, you know, you're ready for the next audition, the next recording session.
You know, everybody will have their own way of approaching. There are some people that really, you know, like, this is my instrument, and this is my, and I protect this, and I herbalize, and it's soothing teas. It sort of depends on, and there's a lot of different styles of voice acting. You know, when you say voice acting, there's a million different ways you can go with that. I mean, some people are like voice freaks, or I like to think character freaks. You know, there are other people that make their living because they're a solid, you know, only that voice in the world. And even that, though, they have to be incredible performers behind it. There's stuff you can do vocally to expand. You know, this is the part that I never like to do when I'm teaching. It's like, okay, you know, it's consummate cuts for its act. But there are tricks, because if you're, you know, part of our job is manipulating the instrument to be able to do things that human voices should not be able to do. Part of that, I say, it's like, I refer to as the toolbox. And these are like the tricks that you use to build a character, or after you build a character. So if you can do two voices, you know, you can do a high voice and a low voice. Great, you got two voices. You know, you see something and you go, you know what, I just figured out how to do a Manchester accent, man, this is fantastic. So you put that in there, well now you actually have 4 voices. You know, it's like, well I figured out this lateral lift. So you could have, well now you don't have 4, you actually have 8, and it begins to grow exponentially. And voices live in all sorts of different places. You know, as you start to, you know, I remember Pesci was like, you know, where's this? It's not a high voice. And then you find this place. You know what am I still gonna cut? I'm trying to break it down to 3 primary voices, like colors. One of them is the Bing.
You find that amusing?
Yeah. There's a lot of voices I've realized that are based on Bing Crosby. That's my own personal theory. But, you know, they will live different placements. If you're running it down here, you're running up, you find a place. I found where my right tonsil used to live. I've never used it yet, but it's a horrible sound. Anyway, so all those things that you can do, you know, and it kind of expands your vocal vocabulary. Really, did I just say that? Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Those are tricks and tools. And it's like any other sort of muscle, per se. The more you exercise it and play with it, this is not an unplugged panel 18 plus, Scott. The more you utilize those things and expand and find their capabilities, the more assets and the more tools and abilities you have to then add to your repertoire, which then comes back to character. But it's tricks, and the more, like every time you throw one more thing into the mix, you know, it's 16:32, and I know mathematically it actually goes faster than that. But you end up with, and constantly, I remember Sue Blue saying something years ago. She said, one day she had a creaking door in her house, and it closed one day, she just went, and she went, what a cool sound. What a cool sound. And then she started playing with that sound and built a whole character around that. So constantly doing that, playing with it all the time. I do it in my car. And I drive a convertible, so I'm like, don't look at the strange man in the car, honey, he's doing it again. You have to constantly be expanding that vocabulary, for want of a better word. You know, it's like practicing scales. It's like, oh, well, I learned that I can do this chop. You know, that suddenly you throw that into the solo and it sounds pretty cool. I've talked enough.
Now you also can do also language as well.
Oh.
Don't just listen to it, Kat. When I teach Japanese kids, I've been doing it for 10 years. They fly in once a year in schools. And the first thing I start them with is something very simple. Do a cat. And you hear someone go, yeah. Well, that cat just died. How kind of cat is it? And they go, it's, no, that's not a cat. All right, do a cat angry. Do an angry cat. They haven't listened. Yeah, it's that sound. So I will go.
Sounds like a cat.
That's totally. Well, I developed that because I have cats and I know what they sound like. Do a cat version.
hairballs.
Then hairballs, but and they're not even mine. And I'm from Hollywood. Come on. What you do now is you can Google it. I tell the kids. I said, Google angry cats, angry dogs, the happy dogs barking because the barkings are different. Do a chimp. I mean, here's all these kids that have never done anything like this before, and they're studying acting, and they just want to get into voice anime. And I have them do squirrels. There's all these different, just to get them out of themselves and start learning the idea of listening and developing. And they will do it over just laughing. Can you laugh on cue? You'd be surprised how many actors I have gone in with on a session that got the job, and then that actor has to laugh, and the laugh is phony. I don't, you know, it's really, I hear somebody go, ha ha ha, and they just can't do it. And it's something we do automatically. We just do it because we, you know, it's just something we do. Because they get nervous. Now they laugh. Nobody tells them how to laugh when they're with friends and somebody tells them a joke. But they can't do that for some reason or another when they're asked to do it on cue. Train. That's what you do. Train yourself to laugh so it sounds real to the dog, to the cat, to the chimp, to the squirrel, whatever it is. However you get there. And that's how you start, for me, that's how you start developing yourself. And as well as people as well. What does grandma sound like? Does grandmother have a voice down here? Is she over here? Or is grandpa over here? Is he over here? So you got two. You got two grandpas. You got one over here. And you got one over here. And you take his teeth out and you got one over here. Okay?
I've heard that one.
Yeah. We've seen it. I mean, you know, I saw my grandfather drop like this. Hey, wait a minute now. I'll talk you projection. Hold on, projection. That's better. Okay.
My little brother and I used to mimic people in the community. It was a good way of starting out. We were children. And there was this guy, this young kid, who used to throw rocks a great deal. One day, I won't give you the whole story, but one day he came across, no, you're going to hear it now. Came across the street with two kids behind him, watchdogs. And my brother David was a scam. He got in my brother David's face. My kid brother was a cute kid. I was a little taller than him. And I don't want to offend anybody, but he got in my little brother's face, and the two bigger kids were behind him. We were going to school. We were going to Catholic school. And they were going to parochial school, and they were going to public school. And so we had our uniforms and everything, and we were the object of derision. Now I'm setting up the situation. And the only way that we could deal with the characters there again was to see the situation. See, what Mike has been talking about is you can't have a character without a situation. Got it? That means that you can't build anything without a situation. And this little kid gets in my brother's, and puts his chin in my brother's chest, and he says, "Give me the number." David looked at me just like I'm looking at Mike right now. David called me So, oh, Dave, man. He got close to my brother, you know, and hit my brother right with his chin in my brother's chest and said, "Give me the number! Give me the number! Give me the number! Give me the number! Give me the number!" What? I don't know, man. So from the cosmos came this thing that landed right on this child's chin. Bam! My brother's fist and smacked him right out in the middle of the street. And then these kids were like stunned, and they all poured across the street, and this kid, we were fighting back, we were fighting each other, we were fighting back to back one more time. And the following ensued, and it's a true story. What you hit that nigga in the face first for, nigga? The nigga wanted a knuckle, nigga, so I gave the nigga a knuckle, nigga. the word nigger to house, you see. And we were laughing at him because we were fighting these kids off until some parents came by, you know. But you can imagine he sounded like a turkey. Give me the knuckle, give me the knuckle. You know, so my brother gave him a knuckle. But you know, you can have all the character in the world, but whatever, but you need a situation to impel, if only to compel, a character. I think you use that all the time in Darkwing Duck. But there is on the internet, there is a place called ACX. Yeah, ACX, where they've got a lot of auditions. Some of these folks want you to audition for their books and read for them. And get yourself a mic that's fired on the end like a Heil, so that it closes out all of the extraneous sound, and get some of that neoprene, right? What is that thick stuff? Yeah. And put it on a room divider. I did that. David Sebastian Williams showed me how to do that. Put in a room divider, you know, around you, and record. Print up some of the stuff from ACX and send it in, and see what they say. You know, a commercial is like a promo. You have to find the situation to make it work. I love those history television promos, you know, where you got, you know, this mountain one day arose out of the sea. You envision this volcano coming up, you know, and it's frightening to think about it. I try to find in any ad or in any cartoon what is going on here. When I see that, then I'm able to create something. Does that make any sense? I can react to it hurting me or moving me somehow, you know, like being strangled. Okay? You know, I remember how it feels to have something around my neck. You know, I remember how it feels to have my hands around Mike's neck. You know, and this has been strangled.
Mike, remember that?
Yes, he does. It's called sense memory.
I think I blanked out.
You know.
I was eating breakfast at the time.
Oh God, yes. I just love grabbing these skinny, pencil neck white men. The situation is everything. Understanding where you are, or even creating it in a place where there is none, like an ad.
Let me suggest, if I may, that it's also, a lot of it is physical around the mouth as well, because this is important. If you have a character that has an underslung jaw, then you're going to have to do this, and your voice is going to sound different. If you get a character prototype that talks out of the corner of his mouth, it's going to have to be over here. It's going to sound like this, because it's going to be hard. Your teeth are going to sound different. It's going to be an S sound like this. So all of those things, all the physical stuff, you know what you are? You're all Mr. Potato Head. Does everybody knows Mr. Potato Head? It's you, but if you keep changing things, it becomes an element of you. You're always at the core, like Mel Blanc was always at the core. I mean, you're right. It wasn't as if he had a different sound. It's just that he got caught up into he just made that character. There was an adaptation that took place.
Yes. You see, those children, what made it funny was that child could not speak the English language. Give me a knuckle, nigger. Give me a nickel, nigger, is what he was saying. Okay? Now forgive me, I'm not using the, I'm just giving you a situation. He couldn't, and my brother and I were making fun of him. That's what was going on.
That's why I couldn't watch The Wire. I didn't understand it.
Right. That was all going on.
I had no idea what he was saying. Was that a part of town?
It was another part of town.
Yeah.
But you see, it made the situation harrowing because there were all these, I couldn't call them poorer kids. They were on the other side of the street. And my brother and I were going to school. And And we weren't necessarily more wealthy than them. We just had a better education. And you can see the situation where there was this dichotomy between the people. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
So my brother could laugh at that, and it was very sad.
Yeah, but if you could watch Jerry Springer, you watch Jerry Springer,
yes,
and you watch those people,
Right.
and you hear how they talk,
right,
whether white or black, man or woman. I mean, you've been asked to play women, have you not?
I've played, this is the beauty of voiceover. I've played many women. I've played pan-dimensional space beings. I have played small blob of condiment that fights crime without words. There's no limitations. If you can envision it and create it and imagine it and make it believable, you can do it.
yes.
Oddly enough, on camera, I tend to play people that look like me. On camera, like, people have gone like, that was you, and that was you. It's like, yes, because you have the ultimate freedom. You have this playground where you can do anything.
May I add something to that?
Yeah.
Forgive me. I have this thing that the situation is everything. I have seven Southern accents here. By state, and all of them are white. Yes, but I can't summon them up if I don't have a situation for each of them to do. Because Maryland sounds different than Virginia, and Virginia sounds different than George Coley White's Alabama, George Coley Wallace's Alabama. Go ahead. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The situation where my brother and I were caught up in this dialect problem here, because this kid figured we had money because we looked better, we went to school, we talked differently than he did, okay? All right. It's the same thing among white folks too. But the interesting thing is that, is that you can't write, you have to have a situation, for me at least, in order to do the voice.
Here's the situation. Let's have the next person up.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to something that Michael said about laughter. Let's talk about laughter. When I started doing this, that was one of the first really important tricks that I learned. I based a lot of my earlier characters, I would come up like, what is their laugh? I would look at a picture of them and go, what do they laugh like?
Exactly.
And once you lock into their laugh, which is kind of part of the core of it, sometimes the whole character will just drop in behind it. Like that used to literally be an exercise. And I think I got that from Sue as well. It's like, you find their laugh, you found a very important part of the character, and it's amazing how the rest of the petals will just bloom. That's my talk on laughter.
And it's interesting. I had to play what's called the Black Hat, which was a bad cowboy, the bad cowboy. And I thought, well, who would play this role on camera? And I said, Jack Palance. And I just knew that Jack Palance would. So, having seen Shane 3 or 4 times, I remembered, and having worked with him, I remembered his. He had this. He always kept his. He's like that. So I thought, okay, and I got the character, did the character, wound up doing the character, and then they said, well, I thought, what is his laugh? His laugh is going to be just that. Normally I would go, too much like me. Whatever. All the O's, all the different sounds, all the shape of your mouth. But for him it was, gotta get close to the mic for that. And it worked. It's like that wonderful character from Hanna-Barbera, the dog that went, Mother, yes. That greasing dog that.
Yes.
That is so clever. That was it's such a smart sound. These are the things that you have to think of when you decide to get into voiceover and you want to play. Then you have to think outside the box. Okay? Yes.
Watch Michael's face when he does this. This is really important. Because you morph, your face changes. And it physically changes the sound, yes. But it comes back to character. I've been watching you do this, and it's like, it's riveting, because it's what we do. And it's like, you change, it all moves, and this is part of the thing. a character doesn't just live in your voice. Sorry.
And also one other thing, quickly, read your ass off. Read novels, newspapers. Put yourself in the role of someone in a Senate committee, okay? Or read the dialogue between politicians, you know, in a newspaper article. Read a novel, read novels, and place yourself in those characters there. Imitate people that you see on, imitate me or Michael, or anybody else up here. Imitate each one of us, you know. Get the old cartoons and try and do the people from them.
And Willow has a definite sound. If you listen to Willow talk, he has a definite vocal sound. He has a quality that you can try to imitate if you listen to him. You guys. Yeah. So.
Sorry. When you audition for a character, what is the difference between voicing them based on what they appear and what their personality is when you audition?
I'm not sure I understand.
I didn't get that.
Go
How they appear? You mean how they would physically appear, as opposed to their personality?
Well, like when you audition, do you like see the pictures of the character and?
Yes. We get a prototype. We usually get a prototype. That's cool. Yeah, they send some sort of drawing. Yeah.
And what if that character's like personality based on what's written for that character is different from what they appear?
I gotta figure out what they're doing.
Well, it's not. I don't know if it's different, because if somebody sends you a picture of a character, let's say a cartoon of a duck or a monkey or whatever it is, and then they give you a very brief history or a long history with a background that means nothing to me.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't care who his mother and father was, or whether somebody was Scandinavian and was hit by a car. None of that is interesting. Just the fact that here's a picture of the character, and there's a little bit of personality, and I'll go from there. Is the person hyper? Is a person like a barker, a circus barker? Is the person very gentle? Is the person frightened? Are they unsure? And I can go from there. The minute I go, then I look at the dialogue. Now, you know, this dialogue most of the time is not gold. It's not great. It's not Shakespeare. But you just do the basics. You go, just try to go through the basics. And then you're against enormous competition. Everybody out there, for the most part, is quite good. And some people, and if you get a job, you have to consider yourself lucky, because there's so many good people out there. So when you get a character and you look at the prototype, it has nothing to do in terms of personality, opposite anything else. It really doesn't. It's just, it's there. It's in the dialogue they give you. If you can't get it from the dialogue, you're in the wrong business.
I try to figure out from the dialogue what the character is doing, what the situation is.
Now, how far away is the character from a crowd? If it shows you italics, obviously it says talking to the crowd, you're not going to talk at this level. You're going to talk at this level. You're going to be reaching out to the crowd, etc. But for the most part, that's where you go. But if the character is talking intimately, then you get close to the mic. And at the mic, because the microphone is an ear. It does a good deal of the work for you. If you get this close.
Unless the character is foghorn, leghorn, who is a politician anyway? Got it? You know, it depends upon what he's doing. And Michael's absolutely right. We should want to get close. If he's close, if he's a lover, he's like this. Make sure.
Okay, you're making my nipples stand up.
It's not your nipples that are standing up, Mike. I know you, Mike.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, you four.
Here's a trick. Give everybody a trick before we just do a little trick. Everybody, how do you talk underwater? That's it. Hello, my name is Michael. What's yours? But you have to be clear. Now, I did a show with Frank Welker. It was Ace something. Snort? Ace, and I had to talk underwater. I was snoring, so I had to talk underwater. And I did not know how to do that. And so I had some coffee. And I kept doing this, kept gurgling and choking. And I was really going through it. And Gordon once said, okay, just, we'll move on from there. Frank, you have, let Frank do his, then you do yours. I said, okay, fine, I'll work it out. And Frank got up and he had to look underwater. He went, hi, this is Rocky. How are you? I said, Frank, why didn't you tell me how to do that? Because he said, it's so much fun watching you. It's really fun watching you choke and drown over there. Coffee. I said, God, that was so easy. So I learned while working. So that's the trick to talking underwater. You can do it with friends when you call them. Yeah, you have a question.
Colin here? Is Colin here?
Hi.
Okay, not yet.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. We have, at max, I can give another 5 minutes. So we're not gonna try lightning round, but we are gonna try to get through all questions.
Okay.
Lock the doors and pump in the interesting gas. Things are about to get real.
That's great. Jim heard that.
Ease into life.
Jim heard that somewhere. Jim Cummings heard that somewhere. Yeah. I'm
sure he loved it.
Maurice Marsh. I'm sorry. Maurice heard that. Yes. Okay.
A lot of advice that I've heard is go where the work is. So, with exceptions of places like LA, New York, or something like that, where do you guys find a lot of you having to go for the work?
Well, these guys are here from Canada.
We both work out of Vancouver. There's a tremendous amount of work there. It's a good point, though. I mean, if you're in the middle of Nebraska, I mean, there is always work, though. Keep this in mind. Voiceover is not necessarily always cartoons. Commercials, narrative. There's always going to be work someplace. But there are, for people that are specifically interested in doing anime, well, that's going to be your Texas. I'll tell you what. And they do.
They're cheaper.
Yeah, they're cost efficient. And they actually, Funimation regularly holds auditions. They just hold open auditions like once or twice a year. But, if you get that chance, and I always stress this, is like, putting together a tape or putting together a demo, you kind of get one chance at a first crack.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready, you get thrown on the back burner and you're probably not going to be seen.
You've blown it.
So you spend your time, you spend your years, you learn your craft, you get good. You put in the 10,000 hours of practice that makes that one solo look easy. Then, when they hear your stuff, they go, oh, that's really interesting. This person not only has some vocal ability, but can act. Wow.
But listen, don't forget that, chasing work, well, that may be a necessity, but you gotta have a life.
Who?
You gotta live somewhere where you like to live, you gotta be yourself, you gotta be a human being. And Scotty's right, there's work. You can find it.
But if you're.
But when you do find it, let me know where it is. Because it's really in the 21st century. It's virtually everywhere.
Yeah, especially
in one sense.
Now, the interesting thing is, in terms of being, as Scott has said, in terms of being an actor, they were looking around for someone to do a character in Scooby-Doo. I'm not sure. I think it was probably the part that what's his name? They passed away.
Not Messick.
No, not Don.
Casey Kasem?
Yeah, Casey passed. They were looking for someone like Shaggy. Yeah. And so they had everybody reading for it. They found somebody in the Midwest who did a wonderful Shaggy, and they brought him in, and he was going to start recording from the Midwest. He did 1 or 2 shows, and they lived with it. He could not act. He was a wonderful Shaggy, but he couldn't act. And they've had it done, and I think Frank finally took over for him. Yeah, because you really have to get inside Shaggy to do that. It wasn't just Casey, it was really Shaggy.
Yeah.
And that was really important. So it's not just a matter of imitating, it's a matter of getting inside that character and acting. Acting is so important. That's why I say join an improv group if you can, if it's anywhere near you.
Yeah.
And develop that character. Who's next?
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is basically, you guys, yesterday on stage with Scott, going, oh, Waspinator, and getting squashed, that group atmosphere, how long does it take to get used to that if you're doing on a large show like Transformers or Beast Wars? Because it's I'm kind of
Vancouver's a smaller market, so we actually all live in one house. It's really awesome, and there's the yard with little fairies that dance on the medication. Yeah, I'll actually live in my basement. You talk about sort of the camaraderie of working.
Yeah.
It's very like theater. You know, you may not know each other going into a show, but if you're working on a show together, like Beast Wars, because A, it's topical, B, was one of the things that made it such an amazing show to work on, was working with these guys every day. You know, the cast that they assembled, the ensemble that they assembled, really? Did you just do that? Yes, I did. It was so much fun to work on. And I mean, that's always going to reflect in the product, too. You know, there's relationships, you know, it's like any other form of acting. You have chemistry, you have relationships. The nice thing is when you're working on a series where you get a chance to kind of start to develop that, then the characters develop and the relationships develop. And a lot of that will just happen organically by the way, you know, your characters are playing with the other kids in the sandbox. Am I saying anything that's pertinent?
Yes, and that's where improv comes in. That's where improv comes in, because sometimes your character develops so that you'll start doing things, you'll say things as your character, and then they'll bounce off somebody else who's in the show who will say things about their character. And that's where that relationship comes. It doesn't happen in the first, second, third, or fourth segment of the show. But it's really good when it starts to pick up. And just about that time, they kill the show.
Yeah. Watch the first season of The Simpsons. It's unrecognizable.
I think, right.
Dan Kessler started off Homer as his Walter Matthau impression.
Yeah.
It evolves.
I think that you were talking about something that was raised, and you used the one word. Try and get into theater. My mother literally, and my father literally, my mother literally and figuratively is the theater. But my mom was a soprano, okay? And my father, well, he was a teacher, but look, I got into the theater early on, and I was doing something about group ensemble playing. I was able to develop from there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You know, the people around me, they were helpful, they cared. I could play off of them, I could play from them. I saw things that I could use, things that they discarded, pieces. We were able to do pieces of shtick, we call it now, business, you know, things, you know, transferring things and moving things around on the stage and using the mise en scène with the properties of the stage for our benefit. But yeah, I think that he's right, is that G.I. Joe, for example, was a great community of actors. We were a little community of actors, we were an ensemble.
Okay. But we didn't go home with each other, don't get the wrong.
But we didn't go home with each other. Mike tried to go home with me. I refused.
We did that earlier to get the job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Al, you were fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Very gentle, very clear.
Hi.
Hi, Steve. Oh, I like your voice.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So my question is, are there any other, you know, maybe technical or personal skills or areas of study that you found were helpful to you in your voice acting? Like maybe something odd or unexpected?
Which would be what?
Well, look, I'll tell you one thing. Like, I'm a drummer. Like I said, no, I'm not well, that too. But since I was a kid, I played the drums, and I can do it, right? So I interpret everything as some kind of song. In terms of the actual audio effect of why do voices go up and down? What happens when somebody goes up and down? So then emotions do come out as a certain form of music. So that's kind of how I sort of start on something. But you just got to keep soaking things up, trying things out. Because like Scotty said, well, all these guys, it's like there's an infinity of possibilities and what you can do with your voice.
But you have your voice, which is your beginning, and women do the voices of little kids. from cartoons.
All the time.
So really important that you develop the Kat Susi and Tara Strong and E.G. Daly. They're ladies. They're grown women. With big boobs.
You
These little tiny voices that they do these little tiny things. Little kids. And they make a bundle.
It's a great area of study for you. You were asking about areas of study, right? Well, for me, it was mimicry. I had a lot of fun with mimicry with my brother Dave. We mimicked our father. We mimicked Froggy, the frog, the cartoon, not the cartoon, but the puppet. No, the puppet frog on the Dan and the Divine Show.
Hi, kids.
Like your Magic Twanger Froggy.
Right, the Magic Twanger Froggy. My brother and I were doing that with kids.
And there were people who come by the house who were German or something. You know, we did that too, or who were British.
Plagiarize. Literally plagiarize. Everything you hear.
Played with their accents. We mimicked them. And sometimes we could catch their accent if we imitated the way they walked. I found that out too.
But you can't hear that on a mic, so don't.
You can't hear that on a mic, but you get up there and sway around the mic, you know, get yourself going.
Now you've got a high voice.
Yes.
Your voice is not super high, but it's high. Okay.
Right.
Work on a low one because you got the high one already.
Yeah.
So start working down here. Start working from the diaphragm.
Yeah.
That's your hammer. It's over here. It's not over here. That's your hammer.
Does she know what you mean by working with the
Yes,
diaphragm?
absolutely. She knows the diaphragm. Trust me.
You know?
Yeah, she knows.
Okay, good. Does everybody else know what
This
it
is
means?
Canada. It's not Tennessee.
Does everybody else know? No. This is important. Does everybody else know what he means by working with the diaphragm?
You got it.
Yes. My girlfriend has a diaphragm.
Don't listen to these dirty old men. Out of here. I'm done. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Toronto.
Let's get the last person up here.
One last person.
Oh no, we don't want this guy. Okay. Come here, man.
Come on, Colin. Go to it.
Go, buddy.
Hi, guys. First of all, thanks for coming. This has been great. And Arthur, I was wondering, like, if we could start with you.
The white guy's been talking the whole time.
Somebody's about for groceries.
So when you're like in a recording session, a lot of times the sound guy or the director is trying to get something from you. How you touched on it a little bit, like with trying to find the situation and improv. What if you're getting like bad direction, like, hey, do it for, like Putty from Seinfeld? Well, you're not that guy. You can do an impression, but if they're not hearing what they want, how do you work with them to get like better direction or find out?
You're directing that to Arthur?
Yeah, to start with there. Like, if you ever, can you get something from? What if you need more? How do you work?
I have very seldomly found myself in a situation like that because they invariably find that they can get from me what they want from the audition. Very seldom, okay? When that happens, it's a failed attempt at my work. And I can't do, I can do only what I can do.
Right.
That's what I can do. And if they don't see it, then they don't see it. Sometimes their direction is faulty.
Right.
But
or vague.
That's right. I can't, or vague, and I can't change that. I can only do the very best I can at attempting to do the work. Attempting. I attempt to become the role.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really sorry, we are completely out of time.
It's your fault.
It is my fault. It's always my fault. He's right. It is. Thank you. Big hand.
Thank you. Wait. On behalf of every these guys up here, Colin's not here, is he? No. Would you do me a favor and thank you for having us. You are the stars. We're not. You are. You are the ones who shared all this time for us. You are the stars, not us. Thank you for having us here. We love you. We do. Thank you.
You all got your number.
Thank you. And the back.
Great. Next panel. Panelists, are you ready? You got it. Why do we enjoy the toy? Thinking beyond